shows it's live there on YouTube.
Okay.
But it doesn't show it on the website. I don't know how to get it. How to select it on the website because it played accidentally there.
Well, you're on YouTube and you're on.
I'm live. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. But like I said,
You gave people different options, didn't you, to log into messaging?
yeah, 35 seconds. Well, welcome. Where do I start now? I think, well, the storm's gone, the sun's out, happy days, and that's the intro, I think, done. So welcome to this this second live show. What I want to do, I'm going to get straight into it. I want to start with some kind of interesting facts. So to set the scene, we've designed this this B2B operating system. And so we replace go-to-market tools, Martech systems and so on. It does all the work, generates the assets, hundreds of them, and tracks them and drives traffic and does the work salespeople have to do. So it's quite broad, quite wide-reaching, and costs a fraction of existing typical GTM costs and so on. I just want to pause there a second. I just want to make sure I've got everything working. I've got everything recording. Everything's supposed to be doing what it's supposed to be doing. Did have a problem with YouTube, but one of those things. So to continue, so you get the picture. So when we first started the project, we thought along the lines of calling it a replacement GTM system, and so we kind of pursued all those naming conventions like GTM this, GTM that, and so on. But as this project evolved, we decided that the GTM label wouldn't actually serve us because most of us has probably had it up to here with GTM labels or tools, mainly because I'd probably say most businesses are kind of struggling with go-to-market, and the mention of it really, it either means more money or more effort, but not more revenue. And so we finally got round to deciding to call it a B2B operating system. So I think, okay, well, it's fair enough. So over the after last week's live show, I did what I would normally do. So I uploaded the live stream to YouTube because you can't copy it from live to video, and set it up on our website, which is what we do, along with the transcript and summary and so on. And on Monday, I did a search on Google for B2B operating systems, and as expected, Google put us in the category for B2B operating systems, and it also drew from a number of references from our website. So as well as us being the first position on the organic SERPs, the search engine results page, it also placed our video in the first position as well. In fact, let me just, I'll just show you. Where are we? I'm not going to say talk amongst yourselves, but basically the whole point of this was that here we go. The whole point of this was that we're looking at how us as B2Bs have to orchestrate and manage what happens with Google, okay, and SEO. So while some people might say, well, you can always set up some kind of obscure title and say, oh, look, we're on page 1, aren't we clever? This is what you paid for, and so on. But seriously, if you look at this, if you were to put, I don't know, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious for B2B, you'd get on page 1. Yeah. So the point is that these are the kind of, you could almost say the hoops that we're expected to jump through. Now, something's happened. I mean, it's part of the kit today is playing up, so it's going a bit. It's running. It's on a go slow at the moment. But the point of this is to communicate the problems that B2Bs face. And I mentioned that we sell a physical product, but there are other businesses out there who have used the same term, B2B operating system. So one of the businesses sells documents and acts as a fractional CMO. The other sells, you call it like a scrape and process set of scripts that uses a large language model, an LLM, like I think it was either Claude or ChatGPT. But ours, it's not a set of documents or a guide. It's just a physical platform that works on both local servers and web-based servers. And so it actually generates the assets and the different and it tracks the content and lots more besides. I mean, we're using it now within our infrastructure, our framework, and you can see all of this on the website. But the point is, I just have to stop this because you wouldn't believe it, but I am actually reading this, and I have to read this because otherwise I go off track, and it not that it's a major problem, but what I need to do is I just need to you have to bear with me a second. I just have to stop and start something because it's just a wee bit of a problem. So hopefully that should speed things up, which it is. So if you were selling a consumer product, say jeans or trainers or whatever, and you did a search, you'd get that ribbon across the top of the search page, and so you can make your selection. But it's not as easy for us in B2B. But you could say, oh yeah, but you can do all that. You can also, there's this pay-per-click, and you'd be right. But by going down the pay-per-click route, you're being pushed back into the Martech-driven go-to-market practices that demand contact data from prospects who don't want to give it, and they want to remain anonymous. So whether it's SEO or pay-per-click, everyone wants their ducks in a row, and most people would be happy with our results with this kind of thing. But for B2Bs, you kind of have to understand the SEO trap, and indeed the pay-per-click trap. And gradually, when you start seeing the logic about this, you can start to move away from this Martech dependency. So if, like a lot of businesses, adding more tools, kind of go-to-market tools, it's not improved any kind of predictability in revenue generation. And because it can't and hasn't improved any kind of predictability, the issue is not the technology, it's actually the model. So after 20 years of this, we can all pretty much say that the Martech's not actually working properly, or as it should do for B2Bs. But you can't really just, I don't know, acknowledge that, well, yeah, I agree with you, but then in the next breath, continue using all the SaaS and hoping for the best. I mean, we've got this month's figures, next month's figures, next quarter's figures, and so on. But if you, although it's not true, because I deliberately looked to find this out, it's not true. But Einstein was supposed to have said, it's an internet thing, supposed to have said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And I think that the point of these live shows over the next kind of few weeks and few months is to explain and challenge what's happening and what's been going on, and why businesses are not seeing the results they expected, and yet costs keep rising. I mean, one of the fundamentals is that marketing is not held to account or to the same set of rules as salespeople are. And I think that at the end of the day, this is kind of the most complete explanation of this dichotomy between sales and marketing and why they keep blaming each other. So, you look at business owners and founders, they have been sold on the promise that an expansive marketing mechanism is essential to success. Yet to fully understand the mechanics of digital marketing, or the kind of the digital marketing ecosystem, you've got to track everything. I mean, literally everything, and every stage. And then in parallel, you've got to track the entire sales process and its its behaviour and its influences, how it impacts people. And finally, to bring it all together, it has to be compared to what goes on within the consumer markets. But if you only look at B2B, you won't understand why digital marketing doesn't actually fly with B2Bs. So what I'm saying is, if you know the origins, you'll understand why it doesn't work. So if you have a look at, if I get this this timeline up here, the point of this, and I've shown this before, but the point of these timeline, or looking at this timeline, is that we have to know where this is originated from. And you could say that there was this this driving, the best way to put it, driving the expectation was a collective effort, which was, or should I say is, genius. And it started shortly after the 2000s. So there was this search company called Google. You might have heard of it. And what they decided, and there was quite a lot of them at the time, as in these different search engines, and they came up with the idea that they would charge advertisers to appear at the top of the search page. And so that was great. And the advertising blocks, they were called AdWords. So far, nothing strange there. But the AdWords were linked directly to landing pages. And the consumers, the B2Cs, the B2Cs asked the consumers for their contact details, and in return they gave them free content. So I think, well, that's great. And it was great for the consumer and great for the retail industry. And so by now, everyone was trying to grow their email lists. And in fact, a lot of organisations had their valuations based upon the email list multiplier to determine their overall value. I mean, some businesses made an absolute fortune out of it. But the point being of all of this, I just need to make an adjustment here a second. Bear with me. These are the things that happen within what we do, and we just have to stop some things from affecting us. Hopefully, they speed things up. But at the time, we had these. All these businesses were making a fortune in terms of their revenue, their expectations, lifetime value of the companies, and lifetime value of the customers as well. So at the same time, CRM was already a big thing for B2Bs. And so around about, as you can see there, so you're starting in the 2000s. Come 2006-ish, 2008, you've got these Martech companies coming up with the likes of marketing automation. So you've got this combination of businesses working hand in glove. You've got pay-per-click, then linking through to your actual Martech platforms. I think it started with Eloqua. Then the Martech SaaS companies turned towards B2Bs. And I mean, at the end of the day, B2Bs, we were all quite happy to oblige, and we're installing more and more SaaS platforms in the hope of getting a bigger piece of this kind of digital action. But by 2016, B2Bs were getting a bit disillusioned with the promises of success, or should I say lack of it. And demand gen strategies just were simply not working. And so in came, I think, back 2016. 2016 is when we got ABM. But just prior to that, 2014, 97% of businesses said they hated filling out forms. So that's, you've got to kind of, you have to think, well, it's not, these are not a different species, they're us. We didn't like filling out these forms. And so the Martech vendors, kind of via their advocates in marketing, basically said, it's been established that there's 10 to 15 people involved in the buying process. So now you need to be marketing to all of the stakeholders. So if jumping through all the kind of the hoops to get digital to work in the first place wasn't hard enough, like with SEO, pay-per-click, demand gen, lead gen, now you've got ABM, account-based marketing. And yet businesses still fail at the same rate. So yeah, there would have been some good wins, but it's still not enough to sustain the future of any company. So understandably, you could say that the boards approved Martech expecting this kind of level of predictability. And yeah, you could say that marketing activity increased, and so did headcount, and the reporting improved, but the revenue predictability didn't. And so if you look at some of the basic elements, you've got this whole broad expectation of marketing, and this narrative was directed to the CEOs and investors, founders. In other words, they presented their demand for larger Martech stacks to the people controlling the money. And here's how it was presented. It was like, firstly, they said, well, you have to spend this money, or the investment, on all this SaaS, so we can compare with and compete with the so-called competition. Now, I already talked about that earlier. Yeah, we talked about what is it? My buttons are not working. Yes, they are. We talked before about what we would have to contend with, what we do have to contend with competition, with these different naming conventions. And so now what we've got, we've still got all that to contend with, not just pay-per-click, but also the remarketing and the banner adverts as well. So some businesses, or I would say a high proportion of them, a high percentage of them, once they got their hands on the investment money, they spend up to like 50% of it on marketing. I mean, let that sink in. 50% of X millions to go on marketing. But no matter what the businesses did, the marketers always routed their activities back through the same mechanisms, which was demand gen, lead gen, ABM, pay-per-click, and remarketing and banner adverts, which meant vendors were expected to, or rather, vendors expected their buyers to fill out the forms, which we both know, neither you or I will fill them out because we know what the outcome is. Incessant cold calls, follow-ups, being hounded down, and so on. So you look at it, and the whole Martech mechanism, the whole process has become this kind of like we've got on the on our kind of thumbnail image. It is along here somewhere. See, the reason I do it this way around is because I can do a start to finish slide presentation, but you've seen them before. And so I just kind of think, if you look at this, for example, we've got this, all of these different platforms, all these different organisations. What do you choose? And if you do choose, how do you build out that stack? And so the digital marketing piece has become a vicious circle. And it's created a structural failure. And so there's this kind of constant tool layering without redesign, really, and there's this an obsession towards attribution, because marketing wants and desperately needs to justify their position. And now you could say, well, with the explosion of AI, you wouldn't necessarily know, but I got a problem today with some of my kit working really, really slowly, and I have no idea why it's doing it. So we just have to kind of muddle through and see how we get on. But with the this kind of obsession of AI, and another obsession has kind of emerged, which is the scrape and spam automation, which actually is just amplifying inefficiency. So not only do the fragmented GTM stacks exist, but they're also growing. And when you consider that you've got kind of inexperienced marketers or GTM engineers out there that are designing AI platforms with the likes of N8N, 11 Labs, Instantly, Clay, and so on, and then they add onto the AI voice platforms. So they're getting voice platforms to do the cold calling. I do struggle with this, because if you've not done the cold calling yourself, it can be a bit soul destroying. Of course it can. But with the technology that's at everybody's fingertips, businesses can now upset their prospects at scale. And you have to think about that. I saw one thing this morning, in fact, about half an hour ago. And this guy was saying, oh, look at this. We're putting out 300,000 emails. And so by automating everything, you've now got this situation where the poor BDR doesn't suffer from rejection anymore. We can upset our prospects at scale. And it's like you couldn't make it up. Honestly, you couldn't make it up. And the 300,000 names and emails and so on, with the scrape and spam, requires multiple domain names, so you can create multiple email addresses. And I read that Google are cracking down on it. So it's made it more difficult, but other providers always fill in the space, yeah, fill in that void. But the bottom line is spam. And so, what are people trying to prove? I mean, I think at the end of the day, I've seen lots of kind of pretty diagrams of tech stacks that have multiple integrated platforms at different stages. And the last one I saw, in fact, I took a snip of it. The last one I saw had 32 apps and 6 AI agents. And they ultimately, they triggered the outreach to an AI, using AI generation and, of course, AI generated phone calls. So the thing is, pretty much everything about B2B is about building trust in advance and at scale. And I think it's at scale if you can, but I would say anyone or everyone in sales knows that people buy people. They always will. And I suppose until you end up handing over your entire business and your bank account to AI, who'll make all the decisions for you, I mean, that's another story. But it's not just yet. So for now, to scale businesses, to do what we want to do, we've got to keep this simple. And I would say paramount is you've got to let businesses, just simply let businesses know you exist, and to give them something you think they will benefit from, and then invite them to get to know, like, and trust you, but at scale. And as sure as eggs are eggs, I mean, businesses who warm to you will follow you first, and then they'll buy from you. And it's been happening that way for decades. But until now, the big tech, Martech processes have kind of cornered the market on this. And I suppose the only really way of putting it is that we have followed the Pied Piper and dutifully kind of bought into all these SaaS tech stacks. So I'm not saying anybody can go stack less, but we can actually bring it in-house. We can slash our costs, and more importantly, direct our efforts towards businesses in a way that we would buy. So in other words, treat them, your prospects, as you want to be treated. And I can't think of any other kind of more logical way of doing that. And what we've got here is we have our own kind of platform. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that we've built this tech stack and this infrastructure, and it's not an add-on, but it is a replacement. And I think that if you consider there's something like 15,000 Martech SaaS platforms available. But I mean, I said this before, the same numbers of businesses keep going bust every year as they did, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago. So I don't really call that progress. I don't know what you think. But there must be something better. And I think it, for me, I mean, I started at the sharp end, the cold calling and door knocking and telesales, to getting the appointment, doing the demonstration, the presentation, getting the document signed, and then going back to the office and ringing the bell. So I know exactly what it takes to keep generating new business, and I can tell you, I mean, it's not more Martech. It's never more Martech. I mean, there's a saying. There is definitely a saying. Persistence pays off. But it's not. It's not about being clever in terms of the strategy, but it's about getting everything functioning together, and looking at the kind of the architecture. So it's not just about a bit of integration here and there. So the point is that I designed this operating system because nothing else made sense to me. I mean, we all run businesses to generate revenue, yeah. We don't do all this activity just to generate marketing analytics and to keep people employed. So with our own operating system, first there's the kind of the understanding of the infrastructure, and you kind of have to look at it as an architectural shift to grasp how and why the existing tools can be replaced. So it's just like a choice. It's not really a choice of this, a choice of that. And balanced with that, or in conjunction with that, you've got this kind of behavioural sequencing of the operating system as it happens at our first stage, which is stage one, and we call that SX reach, because let's face it, you want to reach your prospects, and it's all about visibility. And so So we built a visibility engine, and it's about how people gradually respond to both open access content on your website and your posts and your emails and so on. So once businesses realise that you're not actually stalking them and your content is there to genuinely help them, the relationship changes. And it always does. Because people want to know what's in it for them. So then once that relationship is gradually building and taking form, you've then got this kind of the explicit part of the relationship, which is what we're doing now, which is the live broadcast, which demonstrates stage 2 of this overall system. And we call it SX Live. And you could say this is the kind of gets at the know, like, trust stage. And the bottom line is one keeps turning up. That's what this is about. You turn up. You show that you're available. And then there's SX Connect, which is, I suppose, if you've ever wanted a softer, more relaxed way of encouraging a prospect to start the process with you, but still respecting the fact that they will always do it in their time, not yours. The best approach is to offer them the option of starting the process themselves. If you take a look at our audit page, I just need to make another adjustment here, because this is one of those things, and I would say you could almost not guarantee, but the point of doing these live shows is because it kind of shows your mettle, doesn't it? If something goes wrong, how do you deal with it? It's not about things can go wrong all the time. It's just tech is tech. We know that, but it's how one overcomes the problems. You know, I've had when streams don't work, or there's certain things don't work, and it's not the fact that things go wrong, because nothing's infallible, including the operator, but it's how you overcome them and how you deal with them. And you can even, I'm not kind of talking around it. I think I've sourced it out, and it should be working smoothly now, and it is. But the point is doing this live and then posting up the live show shows everybody's fallibility and a kind of vulnerability to an extent, but it's authentic. I could very easily do a video and have it so perfectly polished and word perfect and so on. You know, I don't scratch my nose or you know, put my finger in my ear, whatever. But that's the point, and that's what is unique about live streaming, is your prospects can genuinely get to know, like, and trust you over time, and they keep seeing you show up, and that's what this is about. So, and the point is, you know, people see that if you're watching this on our website, and you're watching it live on our website, there's a big green button, but there are links in the description. And so the links in the description will take you to an audit page, and it's basically a pre-meeting form fill. It's no different to anything anyone would do face to face. I have this tendency to move over to here, but I try and remember. But the point is that you would get your prospects to fill out this form, and it saves a load of time. It's nothing unusual, but the point is that it allows your prospects to see the type of questions you are going to ask and the information that you're going to get as a precursor to the actual meeting. So once the form's complete, they book a time and date that suits them, and hey presto, best part of this for us is the OS does the research, generates the reports, calculates the costs, the comparisons, generates the proposal, the slide deck presentation, and delivers it to the salesperson before the meeting takes place. I mean, it's great. And when the meeting is complete, and naturally a salesperson will make some edits and changes, could be costs or the text or whatever. And the salespeople, they confirm the costs and confirm that final proposal has been sent. And then this is the final thing that happens. You get to see this. So you get this executive view, and the point of this, it's all part of the ops module, which gives you this kind of measurement clarity and kind of clean forecasting and massively improved annual recurring revenue per full-time equivalent. So as you know, running sales meetings is one thing. I mean, I remember having to shout up my figures in sales meetings. You know, everyone's standing around you, oh, I've got nothing to shout up. Or you shout it up. But now with this, you've got a constant daily running total of your pipeline. I mean, you've probably got a platform that that records all your deals and so on. But if you don't, we'd simply add it in for you, as in your total revenue closed. But this is an operating system. I mean, it covers everything from the kind of visibility and exposure through to engagement and face-to-face and ultimately full-on reporting, or should I say, so the best way we call it is this telemetry. Well, I hope that kind of made sense. But the point is, I mean, if you want to learn more about it, yes, you go to the website. It's all on there. It's on there's videos and downloads and diagrams and everything. But the thing is the bottom line is, I want you to know that there's an alternative. That's the absolute kicker here. So it's not all doom and gloom. And to help this kind of overall process, we've produced there's like a 3-part PDF series, which is downloads, and those links are in the description as well. And the point of them is it starts you on a kind of a journey of looking at something different, and we don't ask for contact details or anything like that, but that's like the foundation of what we're recommending. But I would say, I think at the end of the day, it's about looking at something. You know, you've got the revenue reset, you've got the GTM landscape, and you've got the GTM audit. That starts you on a process of saying, okay, well, we can evaluate this and see where we end up. And I think from kind of I just got to make another adjustment. The bottom line is we know this stuff takes time. It always will, and it's about taking a different approach to selling, not just to sales, but to selling. And overall, it's a different way of thinking. And I think, you know, over the past 20 years, we've all been coerced. I don't know, I can't even coerce, but we've all gone down the same path. We've all bought into big tech, Martech, the whole ABM, demand gen, lead gen, ABM, pay-per-click type of thing. And it's not serving. But before anybody leaps or makes some big change, you have to get it, you have to understand it. And so there's a final thing, which is, you could say, is foundational, and it's a primary catalyst, and so I think you could call it a metamorphosis process. But what it is, it's online retraining, and we've produced a course for entire go-to-market teams. So it doesn't matter how many people you've got or where they are in the world; it's irrelevant. It's all online. 20 modules, all self-paced, can be done in a week, in a month, takes about 30 hours. And our recommendation is for a couple of people initially to do the course, and then they can bounce ideas off each other and so on, and decide who else should do the course kind of before any deployment, any changes that potentially could get made. And so the bottom line is that we want your organisation to get this on the inside before you make any significant changes. And the best way of doing that is to do the course. I mean, it really is. But I think that what we've become used to over the years is an approach by salespeople that says there's an expectation to get in there, to get amongst it, to close people, to close businesses at the behest of the salesperson and therefore their sales manager and therefore the company's desired figures. But the trouble is, you as a director, you won't be told by anybody what to do, least of all a salesperson. And so with that in mind, this process, this approach that we advocate is reach everybody. Doesn't matter how many there are, doesn't matter how many there are in your total addressable market, but reach everybody all the time and invite them to get to know, like, and trust you doing this. You cannot reach that many people. It's an impossibility for everyone to do it one-to-one. And so the point is that that's it for this week. It's not too many slides. I just want to keep this kind of momentum going. I'll be back next week. And what I'm going to talk about next week is about that point, which is this constant visibility. So we all, everyone in business, they want to become famous, or they want their content to go viral. But I think for many, they want their businesses to be successful. Of course they do, but also that element of security. And that's what this OS is all about, is to deliver that, and for you to find out all about it beforehand, before we make any changes. And that's it. So if that appeals, join me next Thursday, same time, same place, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.
If this changed how you think about GTM, you're just getting started. Explore the full Revenue Reset series and join us live next week.